Top of the morning to ya laddies. This is not the video to start that way. Wrong video. Well, I'm gonna keep going anyway. It looks like Deontay Wilder and his team are trying to negotiate a fight between himself and Luis Ortiz, March of next year, in the Barclays Center. Nothing is finalized. This is just what apparently an insider from Wilder's team told BoxingScene.com. So if this is true, obviously, if you know, like earlier this month, Wilder did the whole confrontation with Luis Ortiz after Luis Ortiz knocked out that bum Daniel March. And that was like the first time you saw Deontay Wilder and Luis Ortiz head to head. Because if you remember, when they were set to fight, Luis Ortiz didn't show up to the press conference because I think he had visa problems and he couldn't make it to New York. And before the fight got canceled, of course, and Wilder was there by himself, and Luis Ortiz was like talking via Skype or something. But when he confronted Luis Ortiz after the March fight and he got in the ring, that was like the first time you saw them, face to face. And Luis Ortiz looks much shorter than Deontay Wilder. I think this is a good thing because a lot of people have conspiracies that Wilder never fought Luis Ortiz because it's a conspiracy and they're protecting him, just like they have with Alexander Povetkin. Some people say that Alexander Povetkin was, they drugged him on purpose. So I'm actually glad if they do fight, because like say they would have fought like a year or 15 months from now, then people would have just been like, oh, Luis Ortiz is washed up. But remember, they were set to fight in November, so if they fight in March, it would just be a 4-month difference. So I would imagine people would give Wilder credit, because it's not like 2 years passed. Well, now you could say, well, Luis Ortiz is washed up and he has a few losses, a few L's, right? So I think it's still a credible win if Wilder were to pull it off. I'm definitely the fight set again. It's not finalized or anything. It's just this is what they're saying, apparently. But Wilder versus Luis Ortiz, how you guys think that goes? I've said before in the past that I think Luis Ortiz is the better fighter. I think he's better than Wilder technically, but I think Wilder, first of all, hits harder. And I just think stylistically he could give Luis Ortiz some problems, because Luis Ortiz is not good at cutting off the ring. And I think the way to beat a style like Luis Ortiz is to outbox him. I think Luis Ortiz prefers his guys to come at him, so I think you have to outbox him. The way Malik Scott was frustrating him. I've always said that I believe a prime, in-shape Tyson Fury would have schooled Luis Ortiz, outboxed him, because if he fought long and stuff, I believe if Wilder fought long and kept it long and rangy, he would be able to outbox Luis Ortiz. And my whole thing of Luis Ortiz is I don't know how well he takes a punch. I've never really seen Luis Ortiz get hit flush by a big puncher. So that's a question I was curious. I remember when the fight was first announced, I kept saying, that's what I'm very curious. What happens if Wilder lands flush on Luis Ortiz? How good is Luis Ortiz punch resistance? Because we've never seen, a lot of people speculate that Wilder has a chinny chin. I think he has a chinny, he's suspect there in the whiskers. But Luis Ortiz, I've never really seen him get hit cleanly by a big puncher. I want to see how he takes the punch. If he can't take the punch, then I see Wilder knocking him out easily. If he lands, of course. I shouldn't say easily, if he lands. Again, I just wanted to get Luis Ortiz over with, just to get him over with, just so people could give him a little bit of credit, and just so he could just because if he never fights him, people will always be saying the same bullshit. Oh, he ducked Luis Ortiz, he never fought him. again, even if Wilder goes in here and blows out Luis Ortiz in the second round, you know, people are going to say Luis Ortiz was old, so they're not going to give Wilder credit. I think Wilder's going to be one of those guys that no matter what he does in his career, they're not going to give him credit. Like, if Wilder were to knock out Anthony Joshua in 2 rounds, they would just say Anthony Joshua was a hype job. If Wilder were to knock out Joseph Parker, they would say, well, Joseph Parker, what had he done? You know? If Wilder beats Vladimir Klitschko, they would say, you know, Vladimir Klitschko was washed up. So I think Wilder's one of those guys that, because he cherry-picked for so long, now, once he starts fighting top-quality guys, now, no matter what top-quality guy he beats, there will always be people saying he's still a hype job, he's still an American hype job. I think, because that's what, I mean, think about it. There are people out there that say guys like Terrence Crawford is a hype job. Like, I've seen people say Terrence Crawford is overrated. And Terrence Crawford is a world-class elite fighter. And he's beaten, he's challenged himself several times. But there are people who would say stuff like Terrence Crawford is not as good. You know, he's overrated. So, and Terrence Crawford is a guy that puts in the work. There are people that would say that about Andre Ward. Well, Andre Ward is not a top guy, but Andre Ward fought several top fighters. Even people who say that about Floyd Mayweather Jr. You know, Floyd Mayweather Jr. wasn't the best. He was a hype job. Or he was an overrated American fighter. But he fought several top guys. So, I think, so imagine someone like Wilder who has been cherry picking and doesn't have the best resume. Even if he starts beating and fighting top quality guys, people already don't like Wilder because of his cherry picking. So if they're criticizing and saying that elite fighters who actually fight top guys are the real deal, even if Wilder were to fight top guys and beat top guys, they'll still not give him credit. So that's going to be the story of Wilder's career. If I was Wilder, I personally wouldn't even care. I would just be thinking about the money, because maybe Wilder's just about the money, you know. I know he sees his legacy, but obviously he's about the money too. Wilder should just, you know what he should do? Screw it. He should just cash out. He should just fight Luis Ortiz, beat him, then fight Anthony Joshua, and make that money and retire, you know, because no matter what he does, they're not going to give him credit. And I'm out.